What is going on, guys? It is Brett, and it's time for another Pop Culture Crisis movie review that is not a movie review. I am here with my co-host. Would you introduce yourself, please?
Hello, Crisis Actors. It's Mary. Today we're reviewing the first episode of Mr. Birchum. The second episode is going to be out on Sunday. We're recording this as it's not out yet. But obviously, the experience of watching something in your living room when you can pause it, you can rewind it, or take notes is a lot different than when you're watching something for the first time in this huge auditorium of people who are all reacting to it at the same time. So I feel like my comprehension of it wasn't as thorough as usual, but we're gonna try our best.
Well, I sat in the back and I took my notes for what was going on with this. So first things first, this is a show that is about 30 years in the making. It was conceived by Adam Carolla many, many moons ago and was pitched to Fox about 10 to 15 years ago with Mike Judge. And they made a pilot and it was never ordered. Basically, they said that there was no way that you could relate to those characters. Well, the pitch here for this show is that now in 2024, this is a character you can relate to because what you're watching is essentially the story of a man who's becoming out of time. The character of Mr. Birchum is a shop teacher in a world that is gone, for the lack of the better term that they like to use these days, woke. And he is very much curmudgeonly. He's set in his ways and he doesn't want to change. And what is happening is you're experiencing the world around him as the kind of chaos that we see every day, how it affects someone who's just older than us.
Would you say the best analogy for this would be American Dad? Like he kind of fills the same place, but he's not as curmudgeonly as Mr. Birchum is. Yeah,
like for a lot of things, it's kind of hard to draw an analog these days because I think a lot of times they rush to make sure that the characters do fit in with, like, one of the worst trends with most modern shows. A good example would have been, like, I loved NCIS, and the character of Gibbs is that character who's just, everything happens around him and he's set in his ways, and everything that happens that's new with technology and everything, he uses a flip phone the whole time. Like everything that's new with technology, he's just bemusedly like, what is this? That's a problem for him. But the first episode, the pilot episode, what essentially takes place is you're introduced to Mr. Birchum as he's going in for another first day of school as the new school year is starting. And you get introduced to how he teaches shop class. You get introduced to his punishment methods with his students,
the donkey system,
and then which leads to a disciplinary hearing for him. And you're also introduced to his wife Wendy and his daughter Jeannie and his son. His wife is played by Megyn Kelly, and his daughter is played by Brett Cooper. Kyle Dunnigan plays his son. Okay, so what I think this show needed more than anything was differentiation between the comedy. So I had the same critique of Lady Ballers in the beginning, which I think found its voice more in the middle, which is that it became a sweeter story as the film went on, and the kind of boomer Facebook dad jokes about culture were kind of more focused in the beginning. Right? And then it found its voice towards the middle. With this, there's a character named Carponzi, voiced by Tyler Fisher. That is where I felt those jokes should have been centered.
Right. He was like the embodiment of wokeness. He's the DEI executive of that school.
When those jokes permeate every segment, every character, even when he's talking to his wife, he's talking to his kids.
Yeah.
I felt like it became a bit one note and it lost the chance to now remember, this is a pilot episode and shows find their voice typically much farther on in a season.
There's a whole scene left that we haven't seen yet.
Yeah. There's a lot to do there, but I thought it was fast paced. One of the things I did like about it was that it was very fast paced from scene to scene. The scenes didn't drag too long or anything like that, but there were glimmers of jokes that I thought really had the ability to prove what the show could do. There's a really funny gag because his wife she's a real estate agent. And so there's two jokes in there that I thought were perfect for this, which is one is that his daughter, Jeannie, just idolizes her dad, right?
She's just this doting daughter.
She dotes on her father. She idolizes her dad, who obviously teaches woodshop. And the wife paints over like a wood mantle, and she's just appalled by this decision that her mom did to paint this mantle. This has nothing to do with wokeness. This is just a daughter who really, really identifies with her father, finds something awful that her mom did, and then tries to fix it, which screws her out of selling like a $1 million house or something like that because they're living in LA. And then in that same scene, there's a joke about somebody losing a tooth on a fake pear, because there's always the fake fruit when you're showing a house, that comes back in later and ties in. And that's where the humor needed to find itself more thoroughly in the other characters. Otherwise, all of it is jokes about, now maybe this is because you're not with Mr. Birchum in those scenes. So therefore the idea of the man out of time, the man who's struggling with current year ideology, isn't as relevant. So they did move those jokes to there.
Sure.
Right? But to me, it just felt a bit on the nose in some places.
Sure. I mean, that was my main worry before watching it, is that the jokes would be a little too pandery, because you know that most of the people watching this are right-wing politically, and they're going to find Mr. Birchum more relatable than any of the other characters. But what was strange, again, about watching this in an auditorium of people is listening to the reactions to all the different jokes. And I felt that there were plenty of times where Mr. Birchum was the butt of the joke, and you were supposed to laugh at how irrational and curmudgeonly he is at times. Yet that wasn't what I noticed Drew laughs. I noticed what Drew laughs is making fun of Carponzi, making fun of his gamer son, and like all of these other characters. That to me was just interesting to observe the reaction of the audience, but it still means they found a balance between conservatives being able to laugh at themselves and making fun of the libs, you know?
So perhaps the idea is that if you're watching that in a more mixed audience, that different people would find more humor in more segments of the... Look, the best joke in this whole episode was a joke about him being a member of a union. And it made me laugh. I cannot explain to you how funny I found this joke. And it was just kind of a throwaway at the end. And it really, really rang true to me, because that's something that fits into that realm. I mean, certainly, again, the Daily Wire, whether it's a political company, you know, not entirely, but obviously this is an entertainment division. It is a political company. And unions are something that is a political issue. But I still thought that this was one that really, really worked. And I got a huge laugh out of it, far more than the stuff about Carponzi, because to me, the stuff with that character, that's the stuff I go to like Instagram for. Like that's the stuff I go to social media for sketches. Humor. Sketches seem to work better with that. I thought that the pace was really, really good. I think that there could be some more streamlined editing, meaning that some of it felt like we were watching like skits from scene to scene to scene rather than a cohesive story. But again, we're early on in season 1. It's every bit possible that ends up picking up as the season goes on and as it finds its voice. And as the characters become more relatable to the audience, as you spend more time with them, I think that transition from scene to scene will become more seamless. The gamer's son was also very, very interesting, because that is also a very current year thing.
He's streaming himself in his esports team on the website Twinge.
But they're not dunking on him, because he's actually
No, they're not. That's the thing. So he's actually good at what he does. He actually has tens of thousands of followers who are watching him. And unlike what Mr. Birchum assumed at the beginning of the episode, he actually has a girlfriend who is attracted to him. And when they could have easily filled the gap of his kids with two annoying TikTok obsessed, or like the indoctrinated teenage girl who's constantly rebelling, they chose to write characters that are more realistic.
There is
a
great story to be told in future episodes, maybe where Jeannie does become a little bit like buys into ideology and then like finds her way back to her father.
Well, she is only 8 years old, which I didn't realize watching the trailer how young she was supposed to be.
Yeah.
So unlikely, but yeah.
I think voice-wise, if we're talking about pure performance, I think Brett Cooper and Alonzo Bowden, who plays his best friend, Mr. Gage, who's the auto shop teacher, I think they gave the best voice performances personally.
Yeah, I mean, I
enjoy Adam Carolla's enunciation and his
Adam Carolla's been practicing this for literally decades.
Yes.
So he was drawing upon that.
Yeah.
In the trailer, I didn't actually recognize his voice at first.
Correct.
It doesn't just sound like Adam Carolla is talking.
Yeah, I think if I was to offer the strongest critique, it's that the comedy will need to find, perhaps it's about balancing out how much somebody like Carponzi's in it to give the other type of humor more time to percolate. And find its voice in the show, and then almost use the Carponzi character as like a bit of a pressure release valve with those types of jokes, because they're going to hit every time for your audience.
You don't want it to be too much of a culture war piece. It needs to just be entertainment. Because
this is a very real thing. Like, this type of dad is going to be a very real thing for a long time. I mean, not even necessarily for older folks. I mean, I feel like today, if you're politically aware and you're even thinking about having kids now, you worry about how you're going to be a dad in 20 years, in 15 years, when you have kids. And this character will become even more, there's more precedent for it.
There was a moment that wasn't in this episode, but was in the trailer for season 1, where this character, I think, who just is called Burly Man, says like something like true masculinity is about stuffing down your feelings and eating steak and smoking cigarettes. And that was the kind of humor that I was looking for, to create a balance between making fun of someone like Carponzi and also allowing the Mr. Birchums in the audience to laugh at themselves.
The house, when I saw the house, I thought it looked like the Simpsons house.
But I mean, that's just the style, right?
Yeah,
the style of animation.
But,
also, this isn't really a genre that I am into, so maybe it's just not for me. Like, I enjoyed Lady Ballers more, but maybe that's just because of the genre isn't my thing. I don't really watch adult cartoons.
Animation-wise, it's solid. They did a really, really good job with the animation. It's seamless. It doesn't have it doesn't look noticeably cheap in any way,
and when you see the credits
form.
roll, the names for animators just go on and on.
Yep. I think that here's the thing, guys. If you're a subscriber to the Daily Wire, this is absolutely something you're going to want to take the time to go out and look. I think that it's worth watching, especially like, look, if you like cartoons like American Dad or Family Guy and you have conservative sensibilities, I think that you might find something here that you really, really enjoy, or at least isn't going to be a waste of your time. But I think for the most part, they're going to have a hard time pulling in new audiences.
It's a tough
like
sell
this.
When it's just on the subscription platform, right?
But we would have to wait and see, and I'm interested to see what the future episodes do with these characters, because when I was done, if I'm being honest, the time with the mom and the daughter was the stuff I enjoyed the most in the episode.
Yeah, I liked it.
I think because it got away from the culture war-esque nature of the comedy. But again, like you said, if they balance Carponzi with another character and they give the character of Gage more screen time and allow Mr. Birchum and Mr. Gage to interact like they did at the beginning of the episode, but it's not always having to do with Carponzi, but maybe just about being grown-ups, being dads, being, you know what I mean? Like there's more there, but the thing is, it's very hard to judge something based on one episode. But if you are a subscriber to the Daily Wire, absolutely do take the time to go and check that out. If you have seen it, guys, let us know in the comments what you thought about it, if you're looking forward to seeing it, if there are any other shows that you think people should be checking out that you think are similar to that, things like that. I think that these types of discussions are good to have, because for the most part, we need more shows that are willing to entertain. Like when we were talking about the review, you said we were at the premiere, they were saying like, look, there's jokes for everyone in here. And I think that there is a time now where people are looking for that. And maybe there's more open-minded people that will go out, check this out and see what they, check out Lady Ballers too.
It seems like with Daily Wire's entertainment division, as you said, it's a political company that has an entertainment division. They're just in a stage right now where they're trying their hand at pretty much everything. Like they've done a true crime series, and now they've done a cartoon, and they've done a comedy movie. And soon they're going to be putting out Pendragon, which is in the realm of fantasy. So it seems like they're still kind of gaining footing and trying out everything first.
And it takes a long time to find your voice as a studio, to find your voice as creators. And the hope, at least for me personally, would be that eventually it becomes more subtle and it finds its way more to the entertainment side and moves away from the socio-political commentary. Not entirely, but finds a more middle voice.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks for watching. Listen to full episodes of Pop Culture Crisis on Spotify.
Keep up with us on social media and make sure you subscribe and ring that bell so you never miss the show. Bye, guys.